Hi guys, Dan Cooper here from Pro Tools Expert, and I've got myself a copy of FabFilter's new algorithmic reverb, FabFilter Pro-R. Now I've been really looking forward to this since watching the FabFilter introduction video, and I'm really pleased to have it here in Pro Tools. So let me first show you around the GUI, it's not going to take very long. Now if you're already a FabFilter user like myself, you will see the FabFilter DNA in the controls here. So you can see a little bit of Pro Q2, obviously, because there's EQ control in this. And you can see by the way that the dials have been arranged as well. FabFilter are just amazing at making great GUIs. So at the top, we've got this mix control. Let's put it to 100% for the minute so you can hear the reverb in its entirety. We've got brightness. You can hear how it dulls the reverb, brightens it, does what it says on the tin. Character. Sort of a clean reverb sound to the left. And you can hear how it modulates. And then something in between. Now distance, I really like this. You can hear it's got all the transient information from the source. If you push it back, you can hear it's kind of got a slower attack to it. This is nice. What it does, it kind of sits the source back in the room. Now we've got 6 different spaces, all the way from tiny little room. We can sweep something a bit larger. Larger still, a hall, and a cathedral. Then we've got the decay rate. It's like a global decay rate. I'll get onto this bottom bit in a minute. You just hear the tail of that reverb just going for it. All the way back. Now stereo width, again, does what it says on the tin. We've got mono all the way to the left. 100% is normal stereo. And we can push it an extra 20%. Let's get something a little bit wider. So let's bring the mix back a little bit. Okay, so we've got the party piece here of Pro-R, which is this Decay Rate EQ. Now the Decay Rate EQ lets us set how long you want the reverb to decay, depending on the frequency. So for instance, I can push up a high shelf here and bring the lows down here so that the reverb in the top end will keep ringing on, whereas the lower end will have a really short decay. So let me give you an example of this decay rate. I'm going to set the mix to 100% so that you can hear just the reverb. If I push a high shelf at the top here, and then a low shelf, and pushing the low shelf down here, so that the body of the piano, will shorten the decay, the length of the reverb. And by increasing the high shelf, we'll extend the length of the reverb for the top end of the piano. Now if I put the mix back in a little bit, you can hear that the bottom end of the piano isn't getting all muddy with lots of reverb. Now let me do the opposite. Let me bring down the top end, so this is the decay rate of the top ends, and increase the decay rate of, let's say, the body of the piano. Let's hear how that sounds. Again with the mix all the way up. Bring that high end decay rate all the way down. And when I hit stop, you'll hear just the bottom ends ringing on. I love this Decay Rate EQ feature. It's just going to help me to shape my reverbs more. You've probably noticed this yellow line at the bottom. And what this is a post EQ. And we can have up to 6 bands if you want, which is great. And it's got that Pro Q2 DNA in it. And that's one of my go-to EQ plugins. So let's try this on a snare drum now. Put the mix up. As you can see, I've already got some post EQ going on the reverb here. So let's extend the decay rate at the top ends. And maybe a larger space. shorten it. We've got this pre-delay down here, and it's got a really useful feature. We can tempo sync it. Increase the pre-delay. And this is tempo synced to the click of my session. Maybe bring the brightness down a bit. Play this distance. Okay, you can hear the pre-delay really go in there. And let's adjust the mix. And the stereo width. That tempo syncing pre-delay feature is amazing. You don't generally find that in reverbs, and I've seen it requested so many times on online forums. So it's great to see that FabFilter have actually included that, because it's really going to help with things like snare drums and even kick drum mixes. You know, because often when you're doing those sort of reverb mixes, you're kind of guessing a little bit with using milliseconds. So what are my final thoughts of FabFilter Pro-R? Now, there's been a lot of reverb plugins that have been released over 2016. So I worried that this might be just another run-of-the-mill reverb, but really it's not. It's in a class all of its own. I love the fact that there are very few controls on this. Quite often in reverb plugins, you'll find that you've got pages of settings and controls to go through. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't use all those controls. So it's great that I can get on, learn each of these controls, and get great sounding reverb. I don't think this is like a different take on a reverb, but it's definitely a new direction. And for that alone, I'm awarding this a Pro Tools Expert Editor's Choice Award. If you're already a FabFilter user, have a look in your account, as FabFilter do offer personalised offers, so you could get this for a little bit cheaper than the list price on the website. And if you're not a FabFilter user, well, I suggest you start with this and work your way back through their plugins, because their GUIs are second to none, and they really are tools for the modern music producer. Anyway, I hope you guys got something from that. Let us know your thoughts on FabFilter Pro-R in the comments below. I've been Dan from Pro Tools Expert, and I'll catch you next time.